Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to our very first Artist Talk Live. My name is James MacDonald. I'm the Artistic Director of Western Canada Theatre in Kamloops, British Columbia. We're so happy to be here this evening, and we thank you so much for joining us. This is the first time we've ever done this. So, I'm used to doing plays for hundreds, sometimes even thousands of people in an audience, but the world of the live stream is still a new one to us. So this is going to be a great experience for us tonight. We're really proud to have this conversation tonight because we have the opportunity to talk with two brilliant artists who are in the process of developing a fantastic new play. This is a play that we've had in development at Western Canada Theatre for a couple of years. We did a public workshop performance of it for International Women's Day in 2019, and we have it in our plans to produce it in the very near future whenever we have the chance to get back together and be in the theaters together. We can't wait to bring it to you. It's a personal feeling, a great personal feeling to my heart. As many of you know, I love Canadian stories. I love telling plays about Canadian iconic figures, and this is about one of the best. This is about Viola Desmond, the civil rights icon from Nova Scotia from the 1940s. And one of the things that really appealed to me about this production was not only the story of Viola, which is so important to be told, but also the way it's told. This is told in a cabaret format. The co-creators, Krystle Dos Santos and Tracey Power, have been working on this play that's told through script, through words, and through music. It's told through gospel, it's told through jazz, and it tells an incredible story, not only of Viola Desmond, but also really about the civil rights struggle throughout the 20th century. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to the two people you really came to see, the co-creators of Hey Viola, the incredible Krystle Dos Santos and the terrific Tracey Power. Welcome, Krystle and Tracey.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining. Just so you guys, everybody out there knows the format of what we're going to do today. I've got a few questions I'm going to start out with for both Krystle and Tracey. We'd love to hear your responses, your comments, and any of the questions you have that will show up in our chat, hopefully. And then we're going to wrap up tonight with Krystle reading and singing from Hey Viola. We'll probably go for about 25 minutes tonight. Like I said, we'd love to hear your feedback. So I'm just going to start things going by asking Krystle how she is. Krystle had a drive today.
I did, yeah, about an 8.5-hour drive. It was great. It was actually really smooth. It was rainy, but we made it through, and we're here in Canmore. We keep mixing up Canmore and Camrose, but we're here.
Krystle, can you just give us, Krystle and I have actually known each other from our old Alberta days. Can you just talk a bit about your background as a person and as a performer?
Yeah, I mean, I started out singing when I was about 17, and we met when I did my original production of Black for the 50th anniversary of the Citadel, and that was an incredible project in itself. You were mentoring me, and it was amazing. And yeah, I've just been dabbling between musical theater, acting, and singing for, gosh, nearly 20 years now. So. And
you are currently a British Columbian. And you have a baby. Right. Krystle has a new baby.
Currently.
Tracey, do you want to tell us a bit about your background, where you're from, and some of the writing that you've done as well?
Sure. I'm originally from Comox on Vancouver Island, and I started my career as an actor and dancer, singer, and kind of halfway through, I decided I wanted to explore writing and explore Canadian stories because I felt like as an actor, I was doing a lot of American and English shows, and I felt like I wanted to contribute to the Canadian canon in some way. So I started writing, and I guess 2006, I premiered a show about Mary Pickford, and I toured that across Canada, and that was kind of my first venture into playwriting, and also my first venture into telling a story about a real Canadian, icon in her own right.
Krystle, can you just give us a bit of a background about Viola Desmond? Just tell us a bit about Viola's story.
Sure. Viola Desmond. Of course. Yeah. Sorry, it's a little bit choppy. I hope it's not as choppy on your end.
No, you're coming through
Receiving
clear
this.
now.
Viola from Nova Scotia, and she was a beauty entrepreneur, like icon time. I would really liken her to Madam C.J. Walker, and in terms of the civil rights movement, a little bit to Rosa Parks in the United States, who we all kind of know those names. Um, she herself was an incredible woman at old. She had this massive school and product line that she was distributing to women of color across Nova Scotia and across a lot of the eastern provinces.
That's great. And Tracey, can you talk a little bit about what inspired you to want to work on this story?
Well, I think it started with the release of the $10 bill and not knowing who Viola was. I knew her name and I knew the Heritage Minute that we've seen on television, but I felt like I wanted to know more and I deserved to know more. And when Krystle and I had known each other for a few years, and I said, will you go home and research Viola Desmond, and if this story inspires you and you feel like you're the artist to kind of explore her story and tell her story, I would love to help you if you're willing. So Krystle went home, she called me and she's like, we have to tell the story. And so I think it does start with feeling like that you don't know enough and we deserve to know more. And so we've been kind of digging and researching and learning as much as we can about her for the past couple of years. And there's only so much available as far as facts go. And I think that's where music is so incredibly helpful, because we have the music of that time and we have those voices to help guide us a little bit further and a little bit deeper into what life may have been like at that time.
Krystle, can you talk a little bit about, I mean, you're an incredible musician in so many different ways. You're a musical theater performer, you're an incredible rock and roll, blues, jazz singer that I've seen many times. Can you talk a little bit about how music, singing, and the particular music choices of this show help to tell the story of Viola Desmond?
The music that we've chosen for the show is so expressive, not only of the era, so we kept all for specifically the time frame that you would have been experiencing, but a lot of them really, they touch the heartstrings and they really sort of help to explain emotionally a lot of the things. And for me, they really help me connect story to actual person, to emotion. So I feel like they're line. They're the bridge between, text and audience in a way, or experience and feeling. So a lot of the songs, they are, like you said, gospel, a lot of the old sort of hymns and what do you call them? Worship songs, and but also a lot, like you said, like the jazz as well, which is like Smile is in there, by Charlie Chaplin. And I just find that song so devastating, but also so amazingly expressive.
How is it to go from the scripted portion of it into the music? How do you think those two things feed each other? When you go, I mean, you're such an incredible performer in both ways, when you are embodying her as a person and then moving into these songs. How do they feed each other as a performer?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that question. Can you?
Well, I was just saying that you go so easily from the script to the songs, and how does that feed you as a performer to do both of those things, to tell the story in both of those ways?
how did I go? How does it happen between songs and
Yeah, how does it charge you up?
I find that you know, Tracey's done such an incredible job of that. Again?
Well, I've just lost you there.
I'm so sorry. I'm not hearing you clearly. Oh.
Well, I'm just losing you a bit. I'm going to ask Tracey a question, and maybe we'll just check and see if we can get it, so we can get the script and the song clearly. You just frozen up a bit for me. And maybe Katrina and Frankie are working behind the scenes, so maybe they can help us out. Tracey, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Which is, why do you think that the cabaret format, I mean, you work in a lot of different genres. You work in musical theater, you work in plays. Your play Glory was a kind of invented hybrid of this Canadian women's 1930s story told in, you know, your own particular version of dance and rock and roll, really. How do you think that the cabaret format for this show really suits the storytelling of the show?
Well, in two ways. It suits Krystle because that's, you know, where her comfort is as a performer, and so you kind of want to come at it from, yes, the character's point of view, but also the artist's point of view as well, right? And so I think in creating a piece for Krystle, we want to use her strengths as an artist, and being able to use music for her is incredible. It's incredible, weirdly like a weapon because it's such an important tool for her. Also, one of the facts that we found out about Viola was she worked at a club in New York called Small's Paradise, which had some incredible live acts. So it became the setting for the show itself was Small's Paradise. But also, you know, when you're creating a piece about someone who's passed, you need to find ways to make it personal to people, and music, I think, allows us to reach people on a deeper level. So it's not just a piece about facts. Like it's deeper than that. And yes, we learn about her life and factual pieces of her life, but we also use music to kind of let an audience get to know her on a different level, and you know, create their own opinion, really, and their own relationship. And I think, you know, there was lots of things we learned while we were talking about music, and Krystle would bring in new music, and we kind of realized that every life has a soundtrack, and because the music is from the beginning of her life to the end of her life, we see the growth of the music of that time, and you know, if Krystle was here, I'd let her speak to this, but also the strengthening of the Black voice in music. And she's so incredibly inspirational and articulate when she speaks about it. But there is a real growth in that voice.
She's working to join us again. I think she's going to try a different device. So
okay.
She's in the mountains, so I think the internet connection's a bit spotty. But we won't make you sing tonight, but you can talk a bit more. There's a really good question in the chat, which is really about the play development process. I mean, we love to develop new plays. There's so many great play development companies in Canada, and such a great appetite to see our own stories told on stage. So we're really proud to bring this story from the workshop phase into another workshop, and then to be presented for the first time next year. How do you think the play has evolved through the development workshop process, and how do you think it'll continue to evolve in the next 6 months?
Oh, it's deepened and it's grown. After we did the workshop here, we did a workshop in Vancouver at a lounge called Guilt and Company. We wanted, because the piece is set in a bar, in a lounge, we wanted to actually see what that felt like to perform it in a lounge with, you know, servers moving around and pouring drinks and stuff breaking, and like, it was pretty incredible because, you know, there was a certain there's a certain vibe to that you're not going to find in a theater. You don't have somebody throwing a bottle in a bin and breaking, and you don't want that all the time, but it does inform you as an artist, and to kind of remember that feeling. And it also was incredible to have people there that didn't know they were coming to see a theater show, and so there'd be talking going on, and all of a sudden there'd be a point in the piece where you could hear a pin drop, and there'd be, you know, 100 people in the bar just completely silent and waiting to find out what's going to happen. And that was so informative, because we were like, okay, if we have people listening that didn't even know they were what they were coming to see, or that they were supposed to listen, then I think we're doing our job right.
Well, it's one of the really cool things about the show is that, you know, we'll present it in a cabaret setting, and it's got a few other productions lined up that will all be in kind of different environments and vibes, and the fact that it can live in all these different environments. That whole story that goes from the Halifax explosion to her own success as an entrepreneur, to this terrible thing that happened, to her own life ending when she was very young in Harlem. It's just such an incredible breadth of a story. So, well, I think we might have Krystle back. Krystle, are you back with us?
Yes.
Yay!
Can you hear me?
To hold down the fort.
Yay! I'm so sorry. I hope it's smooth now. I hope you can hear me. I know
Totally smooth. We thought maybe you got attacked by an elk in Canmore or something.
I actually saw a whole field of elk today, so that's not unlikely.
Yeah, we hear they're running. Well, Tracey's got a glass of wine. Oh, she's got good fun, right?
Jealous. Where's mine? Yeah.
Krystle, I'm just going to go back and ask you. You're nice and clear now. I'm going to go back and ask you that question about how you feel as a performer, because you get to work with a scripted show which tells a story, a very emotional story, and then you switch into the in and out of the music, and how that feels for you as a performer to be not only speaking these words but also singing these songs, and how they kind of feed each other.
I have to say this is one of my favorite ways of performing, because I am so connected to music, and I find the emotion through music, I think, just as easily, if maybe not even more easily, as acting. So it is the perfect combination to access and to express those feelings. Because like in any musical, right, the music comes when the emotion needs to sort of burst out of the person, and it always happens at that peak moment. So I find that it's like, kudos to Tracey. It's perfectly written so that, you know, you are sort of bursting with emotion, and by the time the song gets to start, you know, that's the only thing you can do is just start emotionally singing. So I actually really quite enjoy that expression and that creativity.
That's amazing. Can I ask you one other thing? Why do you think it's important that we keep telling Viola Desmond's story, both of what happened then and for this generation now as well?
Yeah, I think as Canadians, we think that our past and our history is pretty squeaky clean. But in fact, you know, we tend to, I don't want to say we hide it, but we certainly didn't and don't tell those stories as often as they need to be told. And telling Viola's story in this way and in many other ways, I think, is really important, so that people know where we were coming from, the sort of things that did happen, and the positives. I'm talking positive and negatives, like the fact that a woman of color in 1946 had her own beauty company at 34, 35 years old and had that level of success, as well as the fact that you know, racial guidelines weren't like they were in the States with Jim Crow, but we still did have people who were choosing to create that kind of segregation, separation, and have that sort of racism as part of their life. I don't know if life is the right word, but, you know, and I think it's really important to make sure that that people are aware of the successes of people of color currently and in the past as well. And frankly, I think that her success is pretty spectacular. Like it's a pretty big deal. You know, I don't know anybody offhand who's Canadian who's doing something like that right now. I'm sure there is, but you know, for the time frame is pretty impressive. But even now, it's still very impressive. So it's good to celebrate that.
Thank you. Tracey, we have a question from one of our greatest supporters,
Oh my gosh.
Mr. Yanni Giftakis from Kamloops. And his question is, well, there it is right there. What liberties are taken in her history to make the story entertaining and engaging?
Oh, well, I think the music element, like, you know, I think we know that she sang in her kitchen, but we know we don't know maybe what level of an entertainer she might have been. And I think that's definitely a construct that we're embracing for this piece. And also, you know, one of the things that Krystle and I have been talking about and exploring a lot is what happened after. And you know, what after she left Nova Scotia, there's this kind of big question mark in her life of 15 years, and what did the effect of reading about Rosa Parks have on her? What were all the choices for her after it happened? Because we know that she had to leave. We know that she left her old life behind. So for us, you know, we have taken creative liberty in trying to imagine what that would have been like, and what it would have been like to start over, and to leave the country and start a new business. And you know, and we know how her life ended, and it's very tragic. So we want the audience to go on this journey with Krystle, and also kind of say what happened, and wonder, and question, and you know, yes, we have these incredible icons in our life, but what does standing up for something do to that person? Because I don't know if we always think about that. We just say, look what this person did, but at what cost?
Yeah, and there's something about, you know, her story, as both of you just said, is so incredible. The actual facts of the story and the way that the two of you have threaded it together, you know, not only maintains the integrity of that story, but it also makes it so human, like so accessible to anybody. And we're able to identify her in such a moving way so much. I'm just going to ask one more question before we get on to what everybody really wants to see, which is Krystle singing.
Hopefully it works.
Certainly what I came for, which is I just wanted to ask Sue Kane's question again in a slightly different way, which is you both have been working on this piece together for a couple of years now. It's performed, Krystle is the central performer, but it's performed with 3 other musicians who will join you on the stage, kind of doing some acting as well, playing some roles, but also just being amazing. How do you, the two of you, first of all, can you talk a bit about your relationship working together and the kind of things you guys talk about when you're working together and kind of, you know, riff off of, and second of all, can you talk about how you think it might change over the next 6 months or a year as you move to different performances? Krystle, do you want to start?
Sure. So summary of the question, what is it like working together?
Yeah.
I love it. It's so much fun. It's actually really wonderful to be a part of a project like this, because I find that some of the best projects that I've ever done are collaborations. And I find that when you get to work and ping pong off of each other, then such sweeter food comes out of it, if that makes sense. And we've had wonderful conversations, like Tracey said. We're trying to fill in the gaps that aren't recorded history that we can't seem to find. In fact, I don't even know if maybe some of her family members might have even known. I think she ran away and was kind of shrouded in shame, and she sort of tried to pull her life together with the last few years that she had. So yeah, we have those beautiful conversations. We went through, you know, the music, and we really sort of picked and chose the exact right songs that not only were somewhat familiar, so that people were going to have a little bit of an anchor to a familiar song and sound, but what would be expressive for the story. Yeah, it's been a very cool experience.
Can you just talk a bit more about that? Because one of the things I found so interesting in the development was how the two of you decided on those songs, how you found the perfect songs to go with the different mood. That these aren't songs written for the show. These are songs that come from so many different places. And I know, Krystle, you would have these great thoughts about coming in and going, I feel like this is, I mean, is that the story of the song? Is that the energy of the song? Is that the mood of the song? Where do you think that comes from?
I went really deep into the catalogs, and I think I pulled out so many songs, and I'm pretty sure I just made a big Hey Viola playlist, and I sent it to Tracey, and she was able to pair the songs with the story as she was writing. And then we went through and we made some adjustments, especially once Steve, our musical director, came in, and you know, we talked about all of that stuff to try and make it as smooth and transitional and fitting as possible. Yeah, the catalog of music was just, it's so brilliant because we probably didn't hear me before because I was so choppy. But you know, between the gospel and the old hymns that her mother sang, like we were able to really pull from some really personal connections. Like her sister's book, Wanda's book, says that she liked the Ink Spots. And she named a bunch of bands that really sort of were her favorites or were around and that she would have been listening to with her brothers and sisters and family. And so, I don't know, to me, I feel like there is a real connection in a lot of the songs to Viola. And we chose the ones that A, had a personal connection, and then B, the stories of the songs absolutely played a huge part in trying to help extend the emotion, if that makes sense.
And I have to ask you one more thing, just because there are two people in the world who sing Nina Simone like nothing else. One of them is Nina Simone, and the other one is Krystle Dos Santos.
Oh my God.
And Krystle gives the most unbelievable rendition of Mississippi Goddamn you have ever heard. What does it mean for you to sing Nina Simone?
Right, you just said that, and I'm like so emotional about that. Nina Simone was one of my very biggest, she is, but was as well, one of my biggest influences. Right when I started singing and recording my album, I recorded a cover of, for my very first record, I recorded a cover of her rendition of Ain't Got No Life. You know, what a random song for someone to choose for their first pop record. Like, it's so bizarre, but she is one of the most emotional, and she's so vigilant to try and get her opinions and her feelings across. And she was such an advocate for these kind of human rights and equal rights things. And if you've seen her documentaries, it's just the most sad existence because she really went through a lot herself. So yeah, to sing her music and to have any kind of candle lit to it, does that make sense? Or match, what's the saying? You know, is an honor. It's truly an honor. So I'm glad that I even get to dive in and share it again with people.
Okay, do you mind doing a bit of the show for us?
Well, I guess.
So,
sounds good.
Krystle, would you like to just introduce, or Tracey, would you like to just introduce the passage you're going to do? You don't need to say too much about it, just maybe the points of the story that it's at.
Sure. I mean, we chose this piece of the show because it is well known, and it is the start of kind of her journey into civil rights, and it takes place at the Roseland Theatre and her experience, the beginning of her experience with the Roseland Theatre.
Krystle, anything you want to add before we go in?
No, I might get emotional though.
You already did to me. You know me, I'm a big goofball, but
oh my God.
when he talked about Nina Simone. So
yeah.
Okay, thanks very much. This is Krystle Dos Santos reading from Hey Viola.
Anyone seen the movie The Dark Mirror with Olivia de Havilland? I love Olivia de Havilland. Anyone? Me neither. Well, that's not true. I saw the first 10 minutes. I wish I had. If I had, who knows where I'd be right now. I can guarantee you I wouldn't be here. Probably in Halifax, closing shop, Jack B, I don't know, telling me I'm working too hard, saying, Vi, this is all too inappropriate for a married woman. See, the day I tried to see that movie, my car broke down. I wasn't even supposed to be there. I was driving to Sydney, which is north of Halifax, to deliver some beauty products, but the motor just... So I only made it as far as New Glasgow. The repairman said that it'd take a day to get the parts, so I should make myself comfortable for the night. The movie theater was right across the street. The Roseland was a beautiful old hall, colorful murals on the walls. It'd been around since silent pictures. I thought there'd been a mistake. I had said one downstairs ticket, not up. It's more expensive downstairs, but I don't care. I can see better when I sit down there. The usher taps me on the shoulder and tells me I have a ticket for upstairs. So I go back to the ticket seller, Peggy, her name tag, and I explain it was a downstairs ticket I wanted. I'm not permitted to sell downstairs tickets to you people. Then I walk back down the aisle. Someone calls to me. The usher, probably. I just kept going. Sat back down in my seat on the main floor. You people? Just watch the movie, Viola. Focus on the movie. The usher is beside me. I told you to go upstairs. Just watch the movie, Viola. I had the extra money on the counter. I just wanted to pay 40 cents, not 30 for upstairs. I had the 40 cents. I had paid for that seat. The manager's beside me now. Just watch the movie, Viola. Focus on the movie. The theater had the right to refuse admission to any objectionable person. Why wasn't I moving? I hear myself. I wasn't refused admission. I would appreciate it if I could arrange the downstairs ticket for me. I never sit upstairs because I can't see very well from a distance. I left the money with the cashier. What was I saying? Why didn't I just stand up? Why didn't I focus on the movie, Viola? I have orders to throw you out of the theater. I hear myself again. I'm not doing anything wrong, and I don't think you will. Watch the movie. Focus on a policeman's hands are on my shoulders. He pulls me out of my seat. I go limp. I'm not helping them. He drags me down the aisle of the theater. I lose my shoe, my purse. The manager's grabbing my legs. There's a pain in my knee which twists up into my hip. We get to the theater door, and I grab onto the door frame. My fingers dig into the wood. They're pulling my body. I'm in the air. This lady runs up the aisle after me, picks up my purse, my shoe. The policeman pries my fingers to the door frame. I'm thrown backwards. The look on the lady's face when she hands me my purse. Oh, cinnamon, where you gonna run to? All on that day. Well, I run to the rock. Please hide me, I run to the rock. Please hide me, I run to the rock. Ain't gonna hide me, girl, all on that day. And the rock cried out, I can't hide you, the rock cried out. I ain't gonna hide you, God, the rock cried out. I ain't gonna hide you, girl, on that day. Power, Lord, power, Lord, power to the Lord. Oh, cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Oh, cinnamon, where you gonna run to? Oh, Ah.
Well, you got me going. Thanks so much, Krystle. That was just unbelievable. It's can you just give us a little bit of background to that song too, to Sinnerman? I know that's another song that's you feel pretty strong. It's pretty close to you. Can you just talk a bit about that song?
It's another spiritual, and the words are very clear. Like it's somebody who sinned and is crying and begging for the Lord. I don't know its written origins, but I was introduced to it through Nina Simone as well. And right from the get-go, that and what is the other song? Something about a mosquito's tweeter are the two songs that I really was introduced to her through, and it's just blown me away. And I find that every single time I hear that song, it's like instant emotion, instant reaction. And so when we put it into the show, it was like, it's such a natural like go-to for an emotional connection for me that especially when it's we're on stage and I'm fully into the psychology and my hat is on, my viola hat is on. It's something that brings me right there, and it's pretty spectacular. I love that song so much, but I'll learn more about its origins and I'll tell you next
time. Thank you both so much for engaging with us tonight. It's such a great chance to not only hear the Krystle, you're just such an unbelievable performer and terrific actor, and to hear both of you speak so articulately about a work in progress, because it's something that it's just it's a great chance to talk about the way that we create new work in this country and the importance of creating new work. And obviously, Nova Scotia, there's been a lot of spotlight on it for not great reasons over the last few weeks. There's so many, Captain Jen Katie, who passed away here in Kamloops, so many different events, and it's a great tribute to another Nova Scotian. Do either of you have anything you'd like to add before we wrap up tonight?
I just can't wait to be Viola again. It's going to be so great.
I can't wait to see you be Viola.
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be so lovely. And, after especially all of the isolation and time that we've had to be ourselves, really look into ourselves. It's something that's going to be truly the highlight of my year to step into her shoes again.
Yeah, and I should mention too that Hey Viola was on tap for us to produce at Western Canada Theatre next year. We will still produce it in some form at some point of the year. We're just not quite sure when or how, but it's also going to go to the Anvil Centre in New Westminster and to the KME Centre in West Van. So we know that the show has an incredible future. It has so many different opportunities for different types of spaces it can play in. It's such an important story for us to be telling, and it's so entertaining as well. So it really is a show that we're so proud of, and we're so proud to be able to work with Krystle and Tracey on this show. So again, thank you both so much. I just wanted to add a couple more things before we wrap up tonight. First of all, thank you all, our Western Canada Theatre audience and our extended family across the country, for supporting us through what is, of course, a difficult time for everybody in the world, and a difficult time for everybody in the arts. It really is a tribute to our supporters that we've been able to continue to operate as we do. So thank you so much to all of our donors. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our ticket buyers for your understanding for what we do. And we really can't wait to join you again next year. Until we are able to do that, we're going to continue to do this. We'll continue to talk to different people in different ways about different aspects of the creative process. You'll find some local favorites from Kamloops, as well as some terrific people from across the country who are working with us. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll hope to do another one of these 2 weeks from tonight with a special guest that I won't name now because he doesn't know that he's doing it yet. But we can't wait to have him with us to do something kind of kooky as well. So yeah, once again, thanks to all our supporters. It means so much to us. We really couldn't do what we do without you. If you do find it and you are interested in making a donation to the arts, either in your own local community, with your own local organization, or of course here in Kamloops, we do appreciate your donations so much. and thank you so much for your support. We'd also like to thank our sponsors. Many of them didn't get the appropriate thank you that they would receive because we didn't do the final shows of our season. So Katrina's going to put that up. And also thanks to Katrina and Frankie, who are the power behind the scene. And of course, all our Western Canada Theatre family, everybody who works in our office, in our administration, in our production, and of course, our volunteers. Thanks so much for joining us. You can always get in touch with us if you have any questions, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.